Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Longbox. Today I'm trying something new. I figured I would I figured we'll try this. We're gonna look at Wolverine #1 live, and if anybody wants to join in, come on down to the come on down. Wolverine #1 live, and if anybody wants to join in, just come on into the live chat and ask. And if I'll send you a link. How's that? Okay, there you go. All right. I just started. I don't expect anybody to be here just as of yet. So I'm just gonna start. All right, this is trying to get the glare off the comic. This is volume one. This is volume 2 of Wolverine. This is #1. This is. Let's take a look at this. This is $1.50. I'm trying not to shake as much. This is $1.50 November, and I don't know what year this is. Oh, 1988. 1988. Look at this. I remember when this cover came out. This was just like a controversial cover at the time. Wolverine, a big old pile of dead bodies. And this over here, this means that I got it at a direct market. So I got this at a comic book store. If I remember correctly, it would have the UPC symbol if it was in a newsstand. All right, so I'm just trying to see anything. Okay, look at this cover though. I didn't particularly like this cover when it came out, and I actively avoided this comic when it came out. So let's look at the indicia. It is, I can't even see that, November 1st, 1988. Right at the front. I appreciate when they do that. So here we go. This is kind of hard to read on the StreamYard. So we got Sword Quest. So this was set in imaginary Indonesian island, and at this point the X-Men are presumed dead. So we got I just really not a big fan of this artwork. Let's look at the credits before we go any further. So we got Chris Claremont writer. What else can I say about Chris Claremont? Just I always say he's the closest to purple prose that comic book writers have. This guy is like super dense. I joked around with my friends that they paid him by the word. If you needed 5 words to describe something, he would give you 20. And who else we got there? We got John Buscema, penciler. I love John Buscema. John Buscema is a classic. If I know this is me making a hierarchy, but I love Jack Kirby, and then followed next by John Buscema. But what takes me out of this is the Al Williamson inks. I like Al Williamson. I like John Buscema, but something about them working together, they just don't work together. This is not my favorite art. This is kind of reminiscent of like Dan Green, who's not my favorite inker either. Tom Unpronounceable is the letterer. Fine lettering. Lettering is supposed to not be noticed. If you notice the lettering, there's 2 things are happening. Either it's wonderful and strange and different, or it's abysmal. So, most lettering is designed to go unnoticed. Glynis Oliver. Hey, Fanboy Prime, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for showing up. How's the sound? How does it look? Just let me know. You're the first person, so I just want to make sure everything looks good. Glynis Oliver colors, great colors. Which Wolverine are we looking at? This is volume 2, #1. The one with the dead bodies all over the place. That's the one. Where am I now? Bob Harris, editor, and Tom DeFalco. Tom DeFalco, I've said it before. I've met Tom. Oh, looking good, sounds good. Thank you. Again, there's an open invite tonight. I'm experimenting, see if anybody else wants to come in and talk comics with me. So, where was I? Just got distracted. Oh yeah, I was Bob Harris. I got nothing much to say about Bob Harris, but I will say that Tom DeFalco. I met Tom DeFalco, nice guy, and I'm gonna turn the page. He took over after Jim Shooter left, and I have to say, not my favorite point in Marvel Comics history. I think it was like a low point, and just look at this. This is And you know what bothers me is everybody involved in this is an amazing talent. And I don't know. I look at that. Look at that panel. That panel just stinks. And again, I've been noticing Al Williamson is just awesome in a lot of the creepy and eerie comics, but it's just I don't know. This sometimes you mix like chemicals. You put what chlorine and sodium together, you get salt. You know, you put oxygen and hydrogens together, you get water. You know, these two chemicals, you put them together, you get crap. You know, there's no other way to describe it. So here we got this fat slob over here. He's he called it even says that Fatso over here. So Fatso calls himself Banapur Khan, and this is, as far as I know, his first and only appearance. So again, I'll say every couple of minutes, if anybody wants, I'm trying to experiment. If anybody else wants to come in and talk with me, just ask, and I'll send you a link. Okay, so he's just going around beating up everybody, and what's he doing? He's attacking islands, taking over ships, and he's kind of disgusting. He's gonna kill off all the men, rape and enslave all the women. But somebody is not having all that. Somebody's hiding out. Somebody's gonna take them all out. And I wonder who that somebody is. Stepping over the tripwires. You ain't gonna trick Wolverine with that kind of stuff. And look, Mom, what is this? Look, Mom, no wires. Freedom stick. Freedom. Anybody have this? What is this? Wireless remote control, compatible with Oh, so this is like a universal remote control. I never had this. Oh, I got 3 people watching. Oh, cool. All right, so this guy's waking up after being, and look, he's just gonna attack these ones. Just maybe it's Rambo. Oh yeah, Bush pan down. You're absolutely right. I didn't think about that. Could be a Logan Rambo team up, John Rambo. So this poor woman was about to be. She scratched his face. So this guy was going to do some nastiness onto this poor woman. She scratched his face. So he was going to use this big old honking knife to finish the job. And we got it snacked over here in blood. So what's happening? I have to say that it was, in a way, kind of refreshing to see Wolverine actually killing people. I mean, Wolverine's power is he has knives. He's basically Stab Man. So it's nice. And of course, she's a little freaked out. Wouldn't you be? You just see somebody get murdered in front of you. It doesn't matter if that guy was going to murder you. If you're a normal human being, that's got to be off-putting. And look at this. Free with proof of purchase, a painter's cap. Now, is that Kevin Costner? I just noticed that. I've seen this ad 80 billion times, but is that Kevin Costner as a kid? 1988? I guess he wouldn't be a kid back then. So here we have this guy getting tied up. So she, not Jan Rambo, because we all know who that is. That ain't Rambo. It's Wolverine. He's saving everybody. This Banapur Khan is just beating the crap out of everybody. And over here we find out what his main deal is. I kind of already spoiled it. Him and his pirates. Is he still smoking cigars at this point? He should be. He stopped with the cigars at the Joe. That was Joe Quesada. That was one of his edicts. Is that the right word? Edicts. Because I think he was quitting cigarettes, and he made an edict that nobody could smoke cigars. And so he should be smoking cigars. So Banapur Khan, this the big fat blob. These are his guys, and they're raiding. They came in on a ship, and they're raiding this island, and they're kidnapping and murdering the men, and they're raping and enslaving the women. And then when they're done with them, they're gonna sell the ones that survive into slavery. Ah, yes, the Joe Quesada. Yep. So here we go. Look at that. I don't want to be mean to John Buscema, but this just is awful. I actively avoided this. I picked it up because I got the volume 1, the Frank Miller one. What was it? 4 or 5 issues, I forget. The first Wolverine, but this volume 2, I looked at the cover, I opened it up, and I just really didn't like the art. And at this point, I was kind of tired of the X-Men. I had X-Men fatigue, so I didn't get this. I ended up buying this entire run in a I think an eBay auction. Oh, here we go. 12. Unusual. what does it say? Unusually not good for a number one. Yes, I gotta agree. I just wanted to showcase this because a couple of people requested it, and because of my channel, what I want to do, I want to talk about comic books from the past, and this is important comic, so I'm showcasing it because of that. I do think it's important. It's not particularly my favorite, but you know what? I will still. The story's fine. The writing is fine. It's just this art I don't like. So I would I would still read this. I would still reread this series. I don't know what I'm up to. I forget what issue I'm up to. I'm currently rereading it, but it's not my favorite. Uh, Unusually okay. Wow, a lot of comments. Thank you guys. It makes me feel good. Had a bad day today. I'm trying to read. I'm trying. It's hard to read this the way I normally do things. I do it on my iPhone and stream it. But since I'm doing StreamYards because I wanted to see if anybody wanted to come and talk with me, so the screen is really small because I can see the chat. So look, so Wolverine is attacking John, a man for the people. Yeah, I buy old expensive comics, so you don't have to. Thank you, fanboy. And by the way, fanboy, I just would like to say, I'm reclaiming the term fanboy. I'm a proud fanboy. I when I was a kid, matter of fact, at this point, the older comic book collector guys, they would call us fanboys. And I remember John Byrne was using the word fanboy as like a derogatory thing, just like the hipsters. You know, I was big into Kerouac. Or, little after this point, maybe the 90s, I was big into Kerouac, and all the hipsters used to call the younger kids hippies as a derogatory term, and that's where the term hippie came from, believe it or not. And then what I think is funny is that hippies became more popular than the hipsters. So all the old comic book guys, all the the guys that had been around the block a few times, they were calling the new kids fanboys, and they didn't know what they were talking about, you know. And I grew up as a fanboy. I embrace fanboy, so I'm reclaiming the term fanboy. You know, I forget what was the racist term that they used in what was it, Mallrats, or one of the Kevin Smiths. They were reclaiming a bad word for black people. I forget. I think I actively forget Kevin Smith stuff. Maybe I should start crying. I should start crying like Kevin Smith. So here's Wolverine over here. Just look at this costume. It's just so uninspired. It's just like black smudge. Look at the hair. I just get the feeling that Chris Claremont cared because Chris Claremont always cared, but I just get the feeling that Al Williamson and John Buscema didn't care, and Bob Harris, the editor, didn't care. So here he is, just fighting everybody. You know, Wolverine's fighting, and again, I thought it was very cathartic. It was cool. It was fun to actually see Wolverine killing people because let's face it, I'm not all for superheroes killing people. Here, I'm taking a sip of my delicious Tim Hortons coffee. I'm not all for superheroes killing people, but I will make an exception for Wolverine because, again, he's stabbed man. I mean, look at that. He's got knives coming out of his hands. His power is to stab you. I will also make an exception for the Punisher. That is his whole shtick, killing people. And you know what else? I even like Green Arrow during the Longbow Hunters time. This is a guy who uses razor sharp arrows shooting them at people. You know, how can you not kill people? You know, so there you go. Those are like my three exceptions for superheroes that I will let you kill. And to the point where Wolverine, Ghost Rider, okay, Ghost Rider, you're right. I'll buy Ghost Rider. Um, yeah, okay, all right. I was going to argue against it, but then all right, you got me. So there's the four. There's the four horsemen of death. But to me, it made the least amount of sense to not have Wolverine kill because right that stab, like the very, like we all knew he killed in that issue when he went nuts with the Hellfire Club. You know, when he was coming up out of the sewers, we all knew it. They just didn't show it, but we knew he was killing people. Right, like Batman. I like the idea that Batman doesn't kill. I like that Superman doesn't kill. Green Lantern, Wonder Woman. She's a warrior. She'll kill when there's no other option. But she's so powerful that for Wolverine, for Wonder Woman to kill, she really has to have no other choice. Like Wolverine, Wonder Woman's not going to like bank robbers and then just slice their heads off. But yes, she killed Max Lord in 05 or 06. Yeah, but warriors don't just snap people's necks. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like Iraqi soldiers just going in and like lining up the Taliban and snapping their necks. Emotionally, you're like, yeah, let's do it. But like, it's just, I don't know. Just because you're a warrior doesn't mean you'd kill. Wow, I typed that as you said that. Okay, but you know what I mean. So I like Superman's not a warrior, so I think Superman is a superhero. He will not kill. He will go out of his way to not kill. He'll hinder himself to not kill. Wonder Woman is a warrior. She is prepared to kill, but she won't do it unless she has to. And I really think, granted that like Black Canary, if let's just for the sake of argument that Black Canary was a warrior hero too, I think she would kill more than Wonder Woman because she's not as powerful. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't have other ways to get out of killing. Am I making sense? But Wonder Woman is so powerful that she would, need to kill less. Okay. I hope I'm making sense. So here we got Wolverine just hacking and slashing. The lasso of truth told her, yeah. Look at that panel. I don't know. I just not really a fan. The coloring is off. I remember not liking this comic. Oh, thank you, fanboy. Fanboy says I'm making sense. I remember not liking this when it came out, and now looking at it, through older, more clinical eyes, because I tried to be like more clinical and observant and there's objective. Objective is the word I was looking for. I've tried to be more objective as now, now that I'm doing this channel. I like this even less. It seems rushed. Perfect. Yeah. And you know what? It's the number one. The number one didn't need to be rushed, So look at that. Look at that. Just look. Nope. Flat angle. Like, okay, so over here we it's bird's eye. Down up here is bird's flat angle, no backgrounds. I don't know. Rushed is a nice way to put it. Yeah, I'll yeah, seems rushed. And Wolverine's just beating everybody up again. The only thing, the writing is excellent. The writing is excellent. So here we go, pulling out. I got this stupid mic, and it seems like 75% of the time I use it, it doesn't work. So I kind of gave up on the mic. I'm using my phone's mic, and the tripod drives me crazy. So I'm sorry. I hope everything's okay. Very inspiring for what should have been considered a major release. Yes, Fanboy Prime. Is this the first time you've seen this? Is this Bush Pan Down? Is this the first time you've seen this? So again, part of me, like, emotionally, I'm like, cool, Wolverine's lashing out. We don't have like Cyclops raiding him in, and and Nightcrawler being all priesty, so it is cool that he's do it. And keep in mind, at this point, the Punisher was just killing everybody. So Marvel had a some fire going on at this point, as far as like willingness to show violence. So again, to me, Punisher and Wolverine should be killing, but when you put Wolverine in a spandex yellow costume with the X-Men fighting Stilt Man, then he shouldn't be murdering people. I started around this time with Silver Surfer and the X-Men. Yeah, like, the Silver Surfer is so powerful, he doesn't need to kill. I think us comic book people understand that. So I love this. This is actually kind of cool, as badly drawn as it is. This guy takes this sword and smashes. He tries to cut Wolverine's head. Now the sword breaks because we all know he's got the adamantium skull, and the guy's like, "What the hell happened?" But let's be realistic. The flesh should have cut, and there should just be blood everywhere. Blood, and the sword should still break because but this should be blood all over the place. And then I think it would be cool, like, when Wolverine cleans up all the blood, there's no wounds anymore, there's no scars. Now that's a question. Does Wolverine scar? Like, does his healing factor even clean up the scars? Because if not, then this guy must just be like a like a just bumpy with scar tissue everywhere you go, And here he is, just murdering people, just piles of bodies. Look at this. I, it's almost embarrassing, like this is just like what with the nuns would make fun of you, like, you read this is just garbage. Like I remember I got into an argument with one of my father's friends. He was a college professor, and my father was a blue collar worker like me. So whenever this guy came to town and came over and hung out with us, my father would like put on the airs, like I'm not going to mention any names, but because his family's still around and they're still my age and they're still into comics. They know who I'm talking about, but let's have plausible deniability if they ever happen to stumble across my streams. But my father would be all highfalutin when he came to town and have dinner with us. And he was just going off about comic books one day. And I went and I got the collected edition of The Watchmen. I said, read this and tell me, read it cover to cover. And he was like, well, I wouldn't. I said, so there you go. I said, I'll read your Shakespeare books, but you will read I said, you don't argue with me. And like my father got all mad at me. But this is the kind of stuff that he would point out to make his point. And then I would have to sit there and be like, yeah, well, not all comics. The hero's dilemma to kill is brought out well with the surfer defecting from Galactus to kill it. Yeah. Well, Silver Surfer's a hero. I remember. You want to hear a stupid, embarrassing story? Of course you do. Okay, look at this picture. Look at this panel. It's just awful. Look at that. He kind of looks like Nicolas Cage over here. So I was in a bar in Albuquerque drinking, and I'm talking to these guys. And what are we talking about? We're talking about the Silver Surfer. And this hot cocktail waitress is coming by, and she's like, you guys talking about the Silver Surfer? I know the Silver Surfer, because at the time the Silver Surfer cartoon was on, and like this girl, like, she had a young kid that was watching the Silver Surfer cartoon, and she's just all sexy and trying to get a tip, so she's pretended to be interested in everything, and I'm drunk enough to believe that she's interested in me talking about the Silver Surfer. So she's like, yeah, I know all about the Silver Surfer. He flies through space, and there's that big guy, like, and she even said Galactus, so she got some points for that. And I was like, yeah, the Silver Surfer, it's the continuing adventures of Jesus. And she looked at me and I was like, yeah, he sacrificed his life to save an entire planet. Galactus was supposed to be Jack Kirby's version of God, and Norrin Rad he gave up his life, he gave up his happiness to sacrifice himself, not only for Zen Lao but also for Earth. So it's like space Jesus versus space God. And she was like, okay, so you want another beer? Like, that was the end of the conversation, end of the flirting, and she walked off. So there you go. I got cock blocked by the Silver Surfer by myself. So here we go. So this fat Buddy Hackett looking guy is grabbing all the hot, sexy chicks on the island, and we all know how that's going to end up. We all know what he wants with these girls. So look at that panel. It almost is embarrassing, and you know what? I hate saying that because it is a team of masters, a team individually, each part is better than the whole, if that makes sense. She'd be cosplaying for you for your money in this day and age. Yeah. I don't think I have too many cosplayer subscribers or fans or whatever you want to call it. I don't want to say I have fans. I have people who like to listen to me pontificate about comic books. Hello? I dropped the phone and turned off the mic. Why? Because I'm very professional. Everybody hear me? Everything good? All right. So what you said about cosplay. I'm not a fan of cosplay. If you follow me on Twitter, you could see me get myself in trouble with cosplay people. Every once in a while, like, you'll see like a thank you. Audio's back. Thank you, fanboy. Yeah, I lost the volume. I dropped the phone, and when I picked it up, I turned off the mic because I'm not that professional. But every once in a while, you'll see one of those things, like some sexy girl dressed up as Rogue or Mystique or Wonder Woman or Catwoman or whatever, and they'll be like, "Your Xbox or me?" And I always post the same stupid thing because I'm a jerk and I get myself in trouble. I always say, like, take a picture of your comic book collection. And they're like, why? I'm like, because you dressing up as you dressing up as Catwoman doesn't impress me. You want to impress me? You want nerd cred? Let me see a comic book collection. And like, well, I got a comicsology the Xbox. I got a comicsology account, and I'm like, I don't care. If this was 1988, you'd be dressed as a cheerleader. You know, it's all about attention. Right now, being comic books are cool, so you're dressed like Rogue. If this was 1995, you'd be a cheerleader. You'd be a yoga girl. So you dressing as Wolverine doesn't impress me. And you know what? I'm a man, flesh, blood. They're beautiful. They're sexy. If I was 20 years younger, single, and remotely attractive, yeah, that's a different story. But it's just, I don't know. You're just doing it for attention, dressing up as Supergirl. How many Supergirl comics do you have? What's the name of Supergirl's cat? There you go. All right, pontificating about cosplay. Anybody want to come in and talk with me? That I'm kind of doing this as an experiment to see if people want to come in on and video chat with me. If anybody wants to come for the comics, stay for the rants. That might be an excellent little quote to put it. So here, where are we? So this fat tub of lard over here, he doesn't even get off by Wolverine. He gets murder-roodied, but by this he shoots it right in the back. And you know what? I don't care. You know what I mean? Sometimes Dr. Doom, I can respect the villain. Banner Pearl Khan, I don't respect the villain, and because he's just so vile. Like I just want to kidnap women and enslave them and rape them. You know what I mean? Dr. Doom at least builds robots. So I got no problem that this girl just shot him in the back. I jump on, but baby boy asked me to sleep. Oh, okay, that's cute. How old's your child? And then Wolverine is just nodding. He goes in and he sees these poor guys. This is the guy that he came to visit, and of course, it's the old trope. He's got the old Asian mentor, and he came to see him, and he died, and he's like, but you're not Wolverine. Wolverine is dead, and you got to stop this cult of the sword of evil, the Black Blade. So now that's what Wolverine's do. He feels like he owes a debt to his buddy who died, and he knows it now that there's a cult of the Black Sword. I love that stuff. It's hokey. Anybody like kung fu movies? I used to watch kung fu movies when I was a real young kid, and then I guess around 15 to 16 years old. I'm trying to stop this comic from closing. Around 15, 16 years old, I kind of lost interest in them. Just around the same age, I lost interest in Godzilla movies and things like that. And I don't know why. I just did. And then I guess around 26 or so, I started dating a girl that was all into kung fu movies and Godzilla movies, and her enthusiasm drew me back in. So I got into all of this, Legend of the Five Rings, the Five Deadly Venoms, stuff like that. They were fun. Where was I? Lost track. So now he's flying to was it Madripoor? To the Sonny Chiba was good. Yep. 8 years old. 8 years old. That's a cute age. So now he's going to the airport. He's checking out these girls. Look at these guys. Just stereotypical bad guys. Wolverine's popping their tires. Why couldn't I think of the word tire? And now he puts the eye patch on. This is like the birth of that patch identity. Here we go. He's going to the buildings, and there we go. Hot chick over here. Hype box. What do we got here? What comics? Punisher War Journal #1. Wow. Okay. The Submariner Limited Series #1. I remember that. That was pretty good. Avengers Annual 17. The Evolutionary War. I don't know. That to me, that was the beginning of the me getting tired of all the crossover events in all the annuals. What do we got here? Spectacular Spider-Man the Evolutionary War, Wolverine #1, Doctor Strange #1. Okay, so Doctor Strange series came off again, or came back again. Can't stick around, unfortunately. Just want to stop by to say like a catch the reap. Okay, thank you, Aldous. Okay, I like you. I like you full time. Your name. You know how many people tried to tell me about a Orwell when they haven't even read it. Like if I have a couple of literary snobby rules. Okay, here's my #1 snobby rule: you cannot call anybody an Uncle Tom unless you read the book. Okay, and here's the funny thing: people who read the book would never call anybody an Uncle Tom because it's not an insult. Uncle Tom was actually a hero. So there you go. If you hear anybody calling anybody an Uncle Tom, you know they never read the book. And don't talk to me about George Orwell unless you read the books. So many people are just all right. I was going to go off on a political tirade, but I kind of came here tonight because I wanted to have some escapism, talk about some comic books. Okay. Yes, they were trying to reinvent Wolverine. Yes, they were trying to reinvent Wolverine. This is I'll say informed speculation because at this point, this is 1988. I've been reading probably Chris Claremont for like 15 years. Starting back at Marvel Team Up. Chris Claremont, you could tell what this guy had for breakfast by what he wrote. Like I'm joking around, but like Pinball Wizard was a big deal. The Tommy and that song. And next thing you know, the X-Men are fighting arcade. All those witch movies come out of in the late 70s, early 80s. There was like a lot of witchcraft movies. And next thing you know, everybody in the X-Men's a witch. Amanda Stepton's a witch. Like John Byrne said, wouldn't that have come in handy when she was kidnapped by Arcade? She's a powerful witch. Later on, Nightcrawler's mother's a witch. So then now he must have been reading like spy thrillers, and stuff because now it's action and intrigue in Asia, and Wolverine is now Patch, and like it's a mix between like a Corto Maltese, those 1930s Milton Caniff comics that are actually excellent comic strips, newspaper strips, and like Sam Spade, and then throw Wolverine in there. Look at that! Look, here he goes. Who's asking about the cigar? There we go. There's the cigar. Whatever whatever was like in pop culture, next thing you know, it's showing up in the Chris Claremont comic, and I'm not going to say that's a bad thing. I'm not going to say that's a bad thing. That's kind of knowing how to read the room, So, and here we got the last page, and it's just like Sam Spade. In walks the sexy chick, he's smoking the cigarette. He's going on the caper. It works. I just really wish the art was better. I'll say this a million times. I thought the story was good. The writing is good. It's just this art is awful. Now here, guys. All right, I got 3 people in here, and for whoever watches in the future, in the comments, say this. I know I'm live now, but in the other comments, yeah, the Wolverine in Japan stories, yeah, they're fine. Wolverine was a samurai at one point. Now Wolverine's the private eye detective. What is this? Exterminators. I read this and I have no recollection of it. By Louise Simonson, John Bogan. Oh, I was about to say something and then I stopped myself. Look at that. Look at that. John Byrne drawing X-Men, drawing Wolverine. That is just excellent. That is excellent. So here we go. Horrible cover. So now I forgot what the hell I was going to say. Oh, okay. Now I remember. Let's get back to this. Answer this in the what in the regular comments when they post up in a couple of hours after I does bad art ruin? Okay, let's just like this comic. Excellent writing, bad art. Is that a hard pass for you guys? Will you forgive bad writing if the will you forgive bad art if the writing is good, and vice versa? If the writing is bad but the art is good, will you forgive it? Well, I'll give you my answer right now, but first, a sip. My answer is I will forgive bad art for good writing. But I don't care how great the art is. Bad writing is unforgivable. Okay? And the reason why I know this is because I looked at those Prophet comics. I bought all of those Prophet comics, and I waited until I have a big stack of them, and they were indecipherable. I could not figure out what was going on. The art was serviceable. I'm not even going to say it's the best art. That early Image art wasn't really the best. So maybe that's not the best example because I wasn't too pleased with the art. But I have to know what's going on. I fancied myself a writer. Back when I was in college, I always used to tell people that we need two plans. You need a realistic plan and an unrealistic plan. My realistic plan was to become a college professor. That didn't work out. I became a grade school teacher and then a construction worker. And my unrealistic plan was to become a comic book writer. Now I should have had focus and did the comic book writer. Like back then, maybe it wasn't impossible to break in. I don't know if it's easy or not today because I never did it before, so I can't answer that question. But so I'm really, really, really picky about art. Like, what was I was just talking today with a guy at work. He asked me if I saw the new Avatar movie, the Way of the Water or whatever. Writing is more significant. I'm with you, Bushpan down. I will go on record. I say writing. I'm a writing snob. I told him that the first Avatar movie was a spectacle to watch. It was amazing. I've never seen 3D animation like that. Whatever you want to call it, CGI. I forget the exact term. You were there, and I saw it in 3D. You were in this world Pandora, but the writing was so basic. The bad guy had no redeeming qualities. It was just a basic A to B to C story. No surprises, nothing. And I said that to me was unforgivable because James Cameron had unlimited budget, and writing has got to be the cheapest part of any movie. Maybe I'm naive, but to get a guy to sit down with a typewriter and some paper or a computer and just write a script, it's got to be cheaper than paying the actors, than getting cameras, than doing CGI and studios and all that stuff. So I will forgive bad acting. I will forgive bad casting. I will even forgive bad sets, bad costumes, bad makeup, but I will not forgive bad writing because to me that is step one. If you can't have a house on a bad foundation. If you can't make a movie on a bad script, and whatever. So Bush Pan Down says you need both for comic. Yes. For a comic book to have a long run, you got to have both. No doubt about it. No about it. You also have a mouth that obeys your mental commands, but I don't have that. So I will not forgive a movie like I hate to say it, but like this new trilogy of Star Wars movie. It's unforgivable how bad the writing is. It seems like just like a rough drafts just came out. There was no planning. They paid billions of dollars to buy Star Wars from George Lucas. They couldn't even get 3 movies tied together to make sense. I'm done. Star Wars is done. I joke around. I say that there's only 3 Star Wars movies. So after that, Star Wars. I don't watch Mandalorian. They squandered it. Where I'm looking at I'm trying to look at the comments. Writing is more significant, but the comic gener art is, yes. You need both. And if the art is egregiously bad, I don't care how good the writing is. So I'm saying like this to me, this art is serviceable, but it's not that good. So yeah, so I'll buy this. But some art is just awful. Okay. Usually when I refer to comic runs, I go by the writer differently. Oh, okay. That you know what? I got to think about that. I think I do too. Can I get back to you on that one? Hold on. Hey, Flying Foxrow. This is my new, everybody. Flying Foxrow and I became best friends tonight. Okay. I forgot to ask you, Flying Fox. Do you like guacamole? Wade Flash's run. John's Flash's run. Yes. Okay. All right. But and it's funny because I say the Byrne X-Men, but what I really mean is the Chris Claremont Byrne X-Men. But then again, Chris Claremont out. He survived a bunch of artists. Sequel trilogy was a franchise killer. Yes. Not only it was so bad that I'm done with Star Wars. I'm done with Star Wars. It's true today. What's true today? Today was the day. I guess I'm missing something. The live chat's going by so fast, which I appreciate. Thank you, everybody. Again, this is 12 minutes. Anybody want to come in and talk? I do like guacamole. You know that's from Step Brothers. Yeah, that's my favorite Will Ferrell movie. I love that. Do we just become best friends? Yep. I forgot to ask you. Do you like guacamole? Okay. How long I've been talking? 40 minutes already? Jeez. Let me take another sip of coffee. Anybody want to say anything? Anybody want to ask anything? Oh, today was the day we became best friends. You got it. Yep. Want to wear tuxedos and go on job interviews? Okay. All right. So this was good. I the experiment failed in that nobody wanted to come in and chat with me, but that's okay. But it was still fun, and boy, was there a lot of live chat. I couldn't keep up with it at one point. That was fun. So I guess we'll give some channel announcements in the future. I don't have the my calendar in front of me, but I got Don Chin. He's going to come in. We're going to talk. I got Peter Smeddy coming on. We're going to talk. Aisha, and I'm sorry I can't remember her last name, but she's the creator of Charlie's London. She's going to come on and talk. My wife is excited about that because my wife was actually talking to her on Twitter. I want to talk to her about comics. I want to talk to her about London and architecture. I want to talk to her about so much. Apologies, John, but the stream was that. Well, you can apologize and give me a compliment. You sorry you complimented me? Okay. Just as long as you don't touch my drum set. Yeah. I know. I could quote. I don't know, but for some reason, Step Brothers is like one of those movies that just gets quoted a lot at my job. You know, I'm something of a comic book artist myself. Yeah. So who else has come? Don Chin, David Lucarelli, who did Tinseltown, a comic book that I've been raving about since pretty much. It's okay. Nobody has to apologize. David Lucarelli, who did Tinseltown, a comic book that I've been raving about pretty much, I think, since the first week that I started my channel over 2 years ago. You should do a video series on the comic. Good. That's a good idea. That's a real good idea. Thank you, Bush Pandan. That is an excellent idea. Okay. I don't want to leave anybody out. I said Don Chin. Oh, of course. This Wednesday, 2 days from now, I'm gonna have Josh Howard from the amazing T-Bird and Throttle and Dead at 17. Just an all around great guy. Pardon me. I've been chatting with him a few times. Just a great guy. Who else have I been talking to? Oh, I don't know his name, but the guy who does the Screecher comic, he agreed to come on. Heroenberg, I forgot about that. And Heroenberg, thank you. I got your package today in the mail today. So many other people. I wrote to a few people who didn't get back to me yet, but that's to be expected. And I'm trying to think. I contacted a few, some people I don't feel I'm ready to announce yet. Yeah, T-Bird and Throttle was amazing. I liked the cover art when I saw it, and then when I actually started reading it, I no word of a lie, no joke, no exaggeration. Actually felt my heart starting to beat faster. I was like, this is awesome. This is awesome. And it was like it was like 4 80-page giants. And I got the first issue and I couldn't wait. I reread it like 3 or 4 times before issue 2 came out. And then I read it, which I never do. I got so many back issues to read. I never reread comics, and I was new comics anyway, older comics I'm constantly rereading because, let's face it, we try to always have a fondness to stuff from our childhood. But I reread T-Bird Throttle so many times. It's legitimately one of the best comics you've ever. Yeah. So come here Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I live in New York. I don't know where Josh Howard lives, and we'll be talking about it. You could tell him in the live chat. I'm sure he's proud of it. He should be proud of it, but I can only imagine hearing it from other people. It must feel good. Must feel good. Oh no! I was about to. I have I'm working on a secret project that should be funny. That probably I will be the only person who thinks it's funny, but I'm like that. Oh, you found me through the Fourth Age. Oh, you know what? Thank you. RJ, he he I joke around with him all the time whenever I talk to him that he lives in a shack in the woods, and then he admitted that it was closer to truth than because he doesn't have that internet access, and he 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 uh, he where he lives he's like a recluse, so it's hard to get him to commit to a time to talk live. So he's going to come on my channel, but we're gonna pre-record it and then put it up, so there won't be a live chat or anything like that, because I'm flexible. I'll work with people. But my RJ story is believe it or not, I was watching Sargon of Akkad all the time, and he mentioned RJ, and I was like, Sargon of Akkad's talking about a comic book guy. I got to see who this comic book guy is. So I found his channel, and the first video I ever saw by him was the Sana Amanat video, and I got to say, I got the chills, and I sent that video to all my friends. I was like, oh my god, I didn't think it was that bad. So I went and I specifically sought him out and watched all of his videos, and then he started doing live chats, and I just started talking on live chats to him, and I don't know. I guess he took a liking to me or whatever, and then I told him that I do a channel, and he, next thing you know, he started commenting on my channels. He asked me to do a couple of comics. We talked about it, and next thing you know, I consider the guy a friend. I don't know what he looks like. I don't know where he lives. I invited him to my house. I was like, hey, in the off chance that you live anywhere near New York City, come on to my house. I'm having a barbecue. So, but I really like the guy. To be totally honest, I'm kind of intimidated by the guy. He's so freaking smart. I watch his videos. No joke. I have a long commute to work, so I used to drive to work, and then I changed I'm in construction. So when one job ends, you go to another job. So I used to drive to work, and coming home, I used to work on the George Washington Bridge in Upper Manhattan. And coming home, you'd be in traffic. I'd be in my car for like 2 hours, and I would come home enraged because bumper to bumper traffic. I would listen to an RJ, and it would keep my brain occupied so that I wasn't dwelling on the traffic. And that, to me, is the only way to listen to RJ in the fourth age. Because if I'm sitting at home, if I'm playing a video game, or I'm sorting comics and RJ's on, it goes over my head. I've tried it before. And like, I also like to listen to every Wednesday. Chuck Dixon will do a Ask Chuck Dixon, and I try to send him questions all the time. I love I love Chuck Dixon. I sent him a request to come on my channel. He hasn't responded yet, but I don't. He's too big. I would be really surprised, but I'm a big Chuck Dixon fanboy. But anyway, I can sort comics while listening to Chuck Dixon, but RJ demands all my attention. So anyway, I forgot who brought up the RJ. So I'm gonna scroll back to see. Okay, I stumbled onto Adventures 424. That's how you stumbled onto me. That was a great comic, wasn't that? Adventures Superman. That's the one with Jerry Ordway drawing Superman with the eagle on his. That is such a great comic. I know it's blasphemy to say, and I think I said it in that video, that I like the adventures, the Jerry Ordway comics, more than I like the John Byrne. I don't know why. I mean, John Byrne to me is, and I've said it a million times, John Byrne and George Perez are my two favorite comic book artists. But there's something about that Jerry Ordway drawn Superman that, I don't know. It's like transcendental. Is that the correct word? It's just, it transcends comic books. It's just I don't know. It's like American. Like everybody in America should have that Jerry Ordway Superman run. I can't even speak anymore. Oh, Flying Foxrow, you found me through Tonic Mall. Tonic Mall is the greatest person in the world. I love Tonic Mall. I wish he was my next door neighbor. Something about him. He's the most chill guy. I still talk to him. I think like every day or so I send him a message, and he's got like a wry sense of humor. He's talented. I consider him a genius. He's just a real good guy. Um, um, I made an offhand comic about like a stupid idea for a comic book, and he thought it was a great idea for a comic. So I'm like sending him ideas, see what happens. I don't expect much, but it's a fun exercise. I like the guy a lot. Adventures of okay. Yeah. So cool. So Flying Fox, bro, are you friends with Tonic Mole? Or are you just a fan of Tonic Mole? Either way, he's a great guy. I love him. And my very first live chat was with Brian Bow, who does Wolf and Batty. Just another consummate professional. I like talking to him. We chat every once in a while. He's been recommending Hammer horror films for me to watch, and I'm watching Hammer horror films with new eyes. My friend Pete, if my very first live chat was with my friend Pete, me and him were just experimenting just basically to see if I could do it, because everything new is scary when you don't know how to do it. So Pete he bit the bullet, and I think he did a bang up job. He was, and I feel bad because I kind of he took it seriously. Pete's a real smart guy. He's a real serious guy. So Pete, when you're watching this in the future, how you doing? He took it seriously. He did his homework. He took notes, and he did a Frank Miller Daredevil run. And then I just like, hey, let's do this. Like 2 minutes before we went live, and poor guy was like, he was a trooper. So I made it up to him and gave him his. But that was my fault. That was not Pete's. I recently reread those Superman comics and Ordway. Yes. Oh, um, oh, you're friends with Tonic Ball. Okay, that's great. Yeah, I really like the guy. I wish he lived closer. I I uh, I have a friend that lives near him. I'm not going to mention any towns or anything like that. I'm not here to dox anybody. And I told Tonic Ball, next time I go visit him, I'm going to stop over and see you. And he's like, I'm a weirdo. He wants me coming over. What I was going to say was I love John Byrne. I love his art. To me, he's like, look at this. Let's look at this rather than that horrible cover. That is great. That is some of the best comic book art you're going to see. But something about like Jerry Orwell, he is an elder statesman. He's the elder statesman of comic books. I don't know, something about him. Like he's just, I don't know, just an amazing talent. Yes, that was the Daredevil Miller review. Yeah, and Pete had good insights on that. Pete was really good, and I probably stepped all over him and didn't let him speak as much as I should have let him speak. That's my fault. I was not that I was going to say I was a rookie then with interviews, but I feel bad with the Fabrizio Aiello. I was rewatching that and I was cringing. I just think I kept interrupting him, and he's another great guy. Oh my god, I feel like I owe it to him to have him come back, because I feel like I didn't let him talk. All right, so we'll go 8 more minutes. We'll make this a nice even hour. Yeah, Pete. Okay, more comments. It seems like all of a sudden the block of comments just show up. I like Byrne, but the ones Ordway pencil ink are really yes. John Burns was perfect superhero art, but the Ordway ones, there's something about it like, to me, again, this is the only word that keeps popping into my head. Maybe I'm using it wrong, but it was like transcendental. I don't know. It was like I. There's a word that wants to come out of my mouth, and it's not coming out. But I'll say transcendental. Was that the Daredevil? Yes, you did. Yeah, Pete knew his stuff. Yeah, like I said, Pete did his homework. He took it seriously. Good guy. I'll have him back on the show too. And again, I'm not. I try not to be snobby. I try to include everybody. This goes out to anybody who sees this in the future. If you want to come and talk comic books, we'll do this live stream, or record it and post it, whatever. I'm open to anybody. You don't have to be a comic book pro. Pete's not a comic book pro. I want to make a video with one of my friends who's knowledgeable about comics. He's not a comic book pro, but just let me know what you want to talk about. And we'll chat a little bit first, and no cursing, wear pants, and we'll go live. We'll talk. I don't want to be a snobby guy like that. Have I ever read manga? Believe it or not, around this time, around 87, 88, Eclipse Comics brought a lot of manga to America. They brought Lone Wolf and Cub. They brought My the Psychic Girl, Area 88. There was another one, Barefoot Gen. And before that, I got Gogol 13. And I read them all, and I did like them. And I don't know. Eclipse went under or something. I forget what happened. And you want to hear a funny story about I never read Akira. I never read Akira, but I watched the movie many times, and I bought a VHS of Akira, and I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. And then a DVD came out, and it said something about a new dub, and I didn't buy the DVD, but I think I rented it. I think I rented it from, and I loved it. So I guess the new dub cleaned up the dialogue or whatever, made it easier to follow. I don't know, but anyway, Appleseed. I never read Appleseed. I never read Appleseed. I forgot all about Appleseed. Yeah, I heard that's pretty good. Um, oh, a funny story about Lone Wolf and Cub. I try not to curse in these live streams. You know, I try to make them family friendly because it's comic books. You know, we're talking about Wolverine and Superman, stuff like that. So, you know, let your kids. So, here's a pretty dirty word because it's appropriate to the story. We had a guy that used to come in to the comic book store, and he smelt so bad, and he would like talk to little kids, not in like a perverted way, just like he would just talk to little kids like as if they were adults, but they're little kids. Like I remember one of the little kids, just a kid coming in and get some Spider-Man comics, and this guy would come in smelly. He was tall and skinny with Coke bottle thick glasses, and he's like, Jim Shooter's gonna get fired, and I can't wait for him to get fired because he's really ruining the Marvel universe. And who do you think is gonna be the new the editor in chief of Marvel? And the kid goes, I just want to get my Spider-Man comic book. So I remember we had to take him aside, like, the kid's 12 years old, leave him alone. But anyway, he stunk. Every Wednesday he was out the door. We would be sorting out the comic books, and we would have to lock the door because this guy would be like we'd be taking comics out of the boxes, sorting them and putting them on the shelf, and he would be like in our face, like trying to rip them out of it. He had no social skills. Like when you say bad comic book fan, this guy was the archetypical of the bad comic book fan. And behind his back, we were mean. His name was Schmegba, so we were like, oh man, because his name was something like that, you know. And one of the guys was like, did you say his name was Schmegba? And we were like, yeah, that fits. So that became his nickname. So mean. But anyway, he picked up Lone Wolf and Cub, and he started laughing. Okay, and now I didn't read the comic book. This was brand new. Lone Wolf and Cub, #1. Schmegma's got the comic book in his hand, and he's laughing. So I'm thinking it's a humor comic. So I go over it. I'm like, hey, what? And he showed me the picture, and he goes, look at this guy. He thinks he's Frank Miller. You know, and I was just like, oh, okay. You know, I didn't want to argue. He's still a customer, spent a lot of money, but here he goes, thinking whoever, I can't think of the gentleman's name who made Lone Wolf was ripping off Frank Miller, because remember, Ronin came out first, so Frank Miller was copying a manga art style. There's my funny Lone Wolf and Cub story. All right, the Lone Wolf and Cub was good, cult classics. The movies, there's movies. Well, Lone Wolf. Why am I surprised by that? You know, there were excellent comics. I can only imagine, or manga, whatever the word is. Are they good movies? When this is posted up, could you put a link or a title of one of the movies I should watch? I'm interested. That's a funny story. Good. Did I work in the shop? Yes, I did. The name of the shop was called The Incredible Pulp, and it was owned by my friend Larry, my friend Mike, my friend Daniel, and myself. I joke around saying we were the Fantastic Four. There was another employee, Brian, before me, who was the archetypal mean comic book employee. You know, like you know the stereotypical comic book guy in The Simpsons. Could it be any more orange? Worst episode. That, I swear to God, what that grading must have came into our store and met Brian, because that was him. He was mean, and he put us down. He would make fun of our purchases. You know, so I actively avoided. I can't believe I said his name. I shouldn't have said his name. But anyway, I actively avoided him. I met him as an adult, and things got better as an adult. But then I was always number 2. I was the second employee. And I worked in that comic book store for a couple of years. And Mike was the third employee, and then Dan was the fourth employee. And I actually left. I got a job at the telephone company. So I went thinking that was going to be my career for a couple of years, couldn't stand it, and then went back to college. And then I went back to the comic book store a couple of years later. Where in New York, Long Island, New York, Baldwin, New York. It's not there anymore. It was one of the, I didn't realize at the time because I was a kid, it was like an important comic book store, The Incredible Pulp, it was called. And it was started by one guy named Larry, and then it sold to another guy named Larry. Both of them were nice guys. Larry, I'm I'm still friends with today. My wife loves Larry. Larry, if you ever see this, how you doing? Call me. I get nostalgic for Larry. It's funny because every time around my birthday, I call Larry. I want to hang out with him. My friend Mike, one of my childhood friends, Mike and I were born next door to each other. I can't remember not knowing Mike. He now lives near me, but he's got young kids, so it's hard to get adults together when they got young kids. Dan's got medium kids, but I just saw Dan last week. I was just talking to Dan earlier today, and we went out to the. Sorry, I'm late. Oh, how you doing, Bucky? Uh, we got together, the Fantastic Four. I don't know why am I talking about this. Nobody's interested, but about this. But Larry, he was into like esoteric comics. I remember he got me into so Queen wasn't considered Long Island, even though no, that's funny because I remember convincing people who lived in Queens that I used to tell them, I go, Long Island is geographically connected to Brooklyn and Queens. I said, what river do you cross when you go? What bridge do you take when you leave Queens to go to Long Island? And nobody can answer that question because you don't. I said they're politically separated. Queens, Brooklyn is part of New York City. It's two of the 5 boroughs. I said you go into Long Island, it's broken up into Nassau County and Suffolk County. I used to live in Nassau County. Now I live in Suffolk County. But for the past 15 years, I lived in Queens. Okay. I have a lot of New York questions. All for 4, don't need no more. Yep. Oh, go ahead. Ask your New York questions. Why not? Ask a New Yorker. I grew up in Nassau County. I moved to New Mexico, and then I worked at comic book stores out there. Dated a woman who owned a comic book store. Then I moved to San Francisco. I did not work at a comic book store out there. Couldn't stand it, and then moved back to New York. What else was I going to say? I don't know. What other New York questions you got? Where are you, Flying Fox? You could just say the state. I know you don't want to. Is Katz's Deli any good? It was wonderful, and it's not around anymore. And one of my biggest regrets in this life is my mother-in-law. She was from Canada, and she wanted to go to a deli, and I said we got to go to Katz. She came out to visit, and we didn't go to Katz, and I don't know what happened. The second time she came out to visit, we were going to Katz, and I got lost, and I lost my temper. Something about Manhattan and the subways makes me go berserk. So we didn't get to go. And then she passed on, and I never got to take her to Katz. I'm actually getting emotional thinking about it. But Katz was wonderful, wonderful. Best place. Now the Katz is closed. Go to Junior's. I love Junior's Deli. Oh man, I still regret that I never. This poor woman didn't ask for much. She was a sweetheart of a. I know you're supposed to hate your mother-in-law, but my mother-in-law was a nice lady, and it bothers me that I never got to take her to Katz. That's the link to the Lone Wolf movies. Okay. Oh, so you're in Arizona? That's where Pete lives out there. I grew up with Pete's wife. Pete's wife and I have been friends since 3rd grade, and then we separated in college. All my friends, everybody scattered around the world. And when I came back from New Mexico, my friend was married to Pete, and that's how I met Pete. And it's funny because I went to go visit Allison, and me and Pete hit it off to the point where Allison left, and me and Pete were talking like fast friends, talking about rock and roll, talking about board games, talking about comic books. Matter of fact, and now I feel bad. Me and Pete chat all the time. and his wife is the person that I've known since 3rd grade. What is the biggest thing that changed about New York? Somebody said something about crime. How bad was the crime before Giuliani? Just as bad as it is now. Under Giuliani, it was an anomaly how good it was. Did you ever see Taxi Driver? That was New York. My father didn't take me to Manhattan. You didn't go to Manhattan. Manhattan was horrible. You went anywhere near Times Square, you'd taken your life in your own hands. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it was bad. Then Giuliani came, and I remember when Giuliani was I was in my early 20s, And I would go now. I want to go see some filth. I want to go to the all the peep shows and all that stuff that young men go to, and we go to Manhattan. We go to Times Squares, and it's all like Disneyfied. It was all cleaned up, So like you wanted to take your family there. Then Giuliani's out, and you do not. My wife and I, we have a favorite Indian restaurant. It's on Sixth Street, uh, by Thompson Square Park, and we will not go there. Our favorite Chinese restaurant in Queens closed and reopened up in Manhattan. I went there once because I had to try it out, but we won't go there. There's people getting pushed in the subways onto the tracks. I'm not exaggerating. Manhattan is bad. I won't go anywhere. I won't. I'm so lucky that I work in Queens now instead of Manhattan. It's bad. It's just as bad as it was. So I don't know. I was going to say something political, but I don't want to. Okay, what's the biggest thing that changed that I miss? Um, I worked in Manhattan for like the past 20 years. I'm a construction worker, so I'm kind of over Manhattan. But what I missed was, when I was a kid, me and my friends would go to the bars, we'd go see bands. I kind of missed that. But in your 50s, going to see like the Ramones and the Misfits, stuff like that, it's not the same. The bands are older. I'm older, and I don't really know the older. Just as much as I'm into comics, I used to be into punk rock and rock and heavy metal and stuff. But I showcased my 45 collection once, and nobody's watched that video. So it's if you look at the playlist under other, you could see some of my 45. I never followed up on it. I went to Cats when I was like 10, but I don't remember it. Well, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. It's present day New York, like it skipped. Yeah. There's feces in the street. There's this. It's just disgustingness. It is bad. Manhattan right now is as bad as it was in the 70s. Am I an old man? I don't know. Just wondering where you're going. Bucky. I hate to say it, but I never liked wrestling. My friend Mike loved wrestling, and I tried 3 different times in my life to get into wrestling. I never got into it. So I can't answer your question. I really don't know much about wrestling. I dated a girl she loved Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and she talked about him. My nephew is Randy Savage, but I don't have any favorite wrestlers. Never really. I don't dislike it, but I don't like it. Okay, we'll talk about wrestling. I have a board game called Rumble Slam. It's a tactical miniatures wrestling game. I haven't played it yet. I took the piece apart, off the sprues, glued them all together, and never played it. I actually have like a little ring for it. I got to break that out. I'm going to watch the video about the records. Okay, if you go to my playlist and you look at other, because that's like non-comic books and whatever, and all my shorts. As an adult now, I like Flair, but okay, still talking about wrestling. That's okay. Thanks. I mean, I got no problems if you like it. Something big happened tonight. Like everybody's talking about wrestling. I'm going to turn the camera around because we don't need to look at Wolverine anymore. Okay, we'll look at my crazy face. Okay, front camera. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Oh wow, maybe I should turn the camera back. I got my Superman snuggie on. All right. So, there we go. I got my face on. Look at my beard. Hope I don't have pizza in my beard. I had a board game night today. My friend Adam, my friend Lisa, and my friend Mark all came over. We played a game called Rocket Ships and Ray Guns. Oh man, I'm gonna make a video. So guys, how do you feel about when I do board game stuff? They don't get as many views as comic book stuff because I'm a comic book channel, but I trying to have fun, and every once in a while I like to do a board game, maybe like one a week. Okay. Like Catan. I still. You see that box? Oh, I gotta turn the camera around. I'm gonna show you something. Okay, you see that? You see that brown box? That is the deluxe edition of Catan. That is with all the ceramic pieces. I bought that off of eBay a couple of years ago. It's going for a lot of money now, but I would never part with it. My beard is fine. Thank you. Oh, my bread is fine. Okay, my bread is fine. My wife went to New York as a high school trip. They were supposed to go shopping in Manhattan, but the group only went to Macy's, and she was disappointed. Where should she have gone? I mean, geez, there's Manhattan. Like I said, I used to love Manhattan when I was like in my late teens and in my 20s. In my 30s, that's when I moved out to New Mexico. But it's the touristy stuff. You go to the Statue of Liberty. You go to the museums. You go to all the restaurants. But I was into going to all the clubs, going to see all the bands. The smaller the venue, the more I liked it. I used to go to board games is fine, cool. I used to go to CBGBs all the time. I used to go to the hardcore matinee on Sundays. I had my shaved head, my leather jacket. Now I got my gray beard. Now I go to the Wizards convention. I go to the Council of Elrond. I like many comics, but you're thank you, thank you. That makes me blush, Bushpan. It's just I've been 50 years. I'm 50, so I'm going to say 46. Well, rounded to 50 years of reading comics. I've always loved comics. There was only a few times. One time I got this. I don't know what it was. I'm like, I'm too old for this. I was like around 15, 16 years old, and I quit comics. And then in the mid 90s, I was just so broke. But those are the only two times in life but even at those two times, I was still getting the Fantastic Four. I cannot believe that as of 2015, I'm not collecting the Fantastic Four. I'm missing issue number 2, issue number 3, and I think issue number 5 are the only Fantastic Fours I'm missing out of the first series up to what is it, 440 or something like that. I like comics, but especially one I live with. I don't see this. I think I missed. Oh, okay. You were talking about the woman who went to Manhattan. Yeah, don't say women's ages, right? I've only recently started bringing back my Internal Wrestling Society show, which is me playing Legends of Wrestling and telling the stories. Okay, cool. I don't know anything about wrestling. I don't know anything about wrestling. Is Byrne your favorite Fantastic Four run? Yes, and I know it's blasphemy. I like the John Byrne run more than I like the Stan Lee Jack Kirby run for 2 reasons. It came out while I was a kid. And I've missed the Stan Lee, and I bought those back issues, so they don't hold the emotional appeal. This is mean, and I don't mean it to be mean. Take it in the spirit. It's technically better. John Byrne is a better artist. He's comic books evolved to that point. They're not doing like, it's not as hokey, but Stan Lee and Jack Kirby made up for it in imagination and creativity and just awe and majesty. John Byrne didn't have the awe and majesty. John Byrne had like the technical competence, the logical storytelling, but how can you beat like all that wonder that came out of the first 100 years, first 100 issues of the Fantastic Four? Who do you think is the best girl for the Human Torch? Good question. Definitely not Alicia. Man, I took that as like a personal attack. I hated that. You don't take your buddy's girl. I wouldn't do that to my friends. I had one friend that did that to me, and I still don't talk to him. You don't take your buddy's girl. Especially when you're the Thing. And that was his only chance of being happy. So definitely not. I'm so glad they retconned that in Toledo. But that I just hated that. Yeah. Oh God. So who was the best for? I did like Frankie Ray. I liked Crystal, but I knew it was doomed. You should do a 4. Yes. Okay. That's a good idea. The Sunday comics. I kind of like the idea of doing more than one comic. Like this Sunday I did the 4 issues of Hercules. I did I forget what else I did Sunday comics, but I'll do more than one comic in the Sunday comics. So that's a good idea. Do some. I should do more Bird single issues, and then you could just look at a playlist and put them together. I meant to do. Oh yeah, now you made me think of that. I meant to do Avengers 166, the second part to where the Avengers fight Count Nefaria. That was one of my first videos. Have I read any of the Fantastic Four? What If comics? Yeah, I have almost a full set of Fantastic Four of What Ifs. So I don't know why I'm just too sleepy right now to think. But yeah, I did the showcase of What If number 1 with Spider-Man joining the team. I'm trying to think of what other ones. What they had different powers. What if the bullpen became the Fantastic Four? Yeah. What if is a series I had like a love-hate relationship with. Like when like the first 20 issues or so for great comics, and then they just became like, I don't know, kind of like, let's just throw the stupid idea out, or whatever. Like I remember, like, what if Magneto had formed the X-Men? To me, that was like, oh, this is an important comic. That was really good. What else? So, again, I don't have work tomorrow. No, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, so usually I'm in bed about like 9:30, quarter to 10 at the latest. So I'm staying up late tonight just on purpose, on principle of the fact that I don't have to go to bed. My job got shut down. I'm at the risk of doxing myself. I'm working at the JFK airport, and 2 construction workers got killed. So they shut off all construction for 24 hours while they investigate. Two guys that I don't know who it was, but I have suspicions that it's guys that I knew. Favorite Fantastic Four? Oh, not Doom. Okay, not Doom. Galactus, but I'm getting a little annoyed by Galactus is being, maybe Bucky can back me up. What is that term? A jobber whose job it is just to lose to make somebody else look good. Galactus now, like, all of these new comic book writers who do not respect me. They have no pony in this race. Like I'm sure anybody who right now that I'm sure I have 443 subscribers. I'm sure any one of these who are not bots or my family members who subscribe just to be nice, I'm sure any of us real subscribers would understand that Galactus, when Galactus shows up, it's supposed to be, holy cow, Galactus is here. And now it's just like they're making up their own pet character, and he's beating Galactus. At this point, Galactus might as well be like a Keystone Cop. Whoops, slapping himself in the face with a pie. Same with Dr. Doom. Jobber is there to make the superstar look good. Okay, good. Hey, say yeah, Bucky. I know something about wrestling. Bush Pan down. I stopped following comic canon. Yeah, well, you got out before I did. Something around 2005 to 2010, I started noticing that comic book pros were ignoring canon, and 2015, between the disregard for canon and the disregard for and disrespect to the original greats, and then the insertion of identity politics, and I had to nope out. I was done. And I remember it was like literally the month before. Here's a funny story. I get comics from the discount comic book service. I had to go to my local comic shop and break up with them. I felt like I was cheating. Like I had my eyes down, and I was like, my store was long closed, so I went to the next store. That was close to me, and I bought comics from them for a couple of years, and then I got everything on my pull list. I told him I was done. It was funny because I was just getting married, and he said, we lose them all when they get married. And I was like, yeah, we're saving up for a house or whatever. But really, I was going to the discount comic book service because I couldn't compete, like 35 to 50% off. Again, they don't know me. I just think the service is wonderful. So I feel like I broke up with him. Like, I just waited till everything that I pre-ordered on my pull list. I wasn't going to stick up with comics. And then I went. So I've been doing that for years. And then at one point, I remember I would get the notification my package is coming, and it was over $400, toys, comics, and graphic novels and stuff. And the UPS came, and the guy didn't want to pick up the box. The box was freaking heavy, so he didn't even drop it off. And my wife went out. She happened to be coming home, and she saw so she went over, and the guy handed her the box, and the box was falling apart. She said she started crying. She called me. I had to go down there. It was like, good thing they were bagged and boarded because the comics were falling out of this poor box, and she was crying. And I was like, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. And it's like, and I'm just getting angry. I'm not even enjoying these. And that was it. Cold turkey. No more Marvel. No more DCs. So where are we? Jobber, I've stopped following comic. Favorite villain, the Submariner for the fan. Oh, okay. The Submariner is your favorite villain. Okay, I misunderstood. So you're saying Galactus is getting pushed around and does not make a lot? Yeah, yeah. You know, when Doctor Doom shows up, that's a holy cow villain. That's holy cow. This is something else. You know, when in the Avengers, when Ultron showed up, you were like, things are getting real. You know, even Taskmaster, like Diversity Comics, your boy Zach, he always says like Taskmaster was a legitimately scary villain. You know, and now Taskmaster is just like, oh my God, the Black Widow's coming after me. Somebody hide me. You know, come on. You know, it's ridiculous. And that's the reason why I don't like the Joker. I can't stand the Joker. I mean, I love the Joaquin Phoenix movie. He was excellent. But other than that, if I see a Joker on a comic, I almost don't want to read it because this is a guy that's just overdone. Overdone. You know, if somebody appointed me Emperor of Comics, there would be 3 Batman titles. That's it. There'd be 1 X-Men comic, and then get rid of half of these. Get rid of 3/4 of these lame ass X-Men. I would definitely get rid of Krakatoa. I'd be like, listen, like somebody like Ghost Rider or somebody like that they would find out that the real X-Men are buried deep beneath the soil, and the Krakatoa is keeping them alive so that they could, you know, replicate them. And so for the past like 5 years, ever since Krakatoa, these aren't the X-Men. The real X-Men are buried, and they're going to come free and redeem themselves. I'd get rid of that. The Avengers, maybe 2 titles, you know, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, or whatever, you know, and it's just too much. It's just too much. And then try to lock in writers and artists for like at least a year. You know, like, oh geez, look at my hair. You know what I mean? Like at least a year. You know, that's what I would do. For a question nobody asked. Nobody asked what I would do if I was running comics. But that's what I would do if I was running comics. Okay, Doctor Doom is taken out on every. Yeah, Doctor Doom is a joke these days. Do you know how the Kingpin is doing? I don't know how anybody's doing these days. If I quit Marvel and DC in 2015, so that's 8 years. Oh my God, that's 8 years ago. I don't know what's going on. You know, I don't know. What the hell is this Crockett? Okay, you're doing better than me, Bushpan. You don't know Krakatoa is the new status quo for the X-Men. Krakatoa in the X-Men was in X-Men Giant Size X-Men. When the new X-Men debuted, it was the living island of Krakatoa, and it was like a mutant island, like a big organism, and it fed off the power of mutants, and it trapped the original X-Men, and then the new X-Men were formed to go rescue the X-Men. Then they retconned that there was a semi-new X-Men 1.5 that went in and were totally lost, and we didn't know anything about them. That was Vulcan, another Summers brother. And so anyway, Krakatoa is an established villain that feeds off the power of mutants. Now, it's the homeland of the mutants, and nobody can die anymore. Like Krakatoa just regrows you another body, and they're all immoral, separatist, mutant supremacists. They're all banging each other, threatening the world. They have the cure for cancer, but humanity doesn't deserve it. But they're still the good guys. They're villains. They're going around. They tried to capture Franklin Richards because children. The parents don't own you, children. I always joke at this. For some reason, it offends people, so I keep saying it. Parents own their children. Children belong to their parents. So Reed Richards and Sue Richards, they know what's best for Franklin and Valeria, not these X-Men clones. So anyway, this is what's going on the X-Men. They're going around. One of them went and killed a guy in a store because his store sold a piece of plastic that washed up, like those yoke things that held the 6-pack together, killed some turtle. So she went and killed him. You know, it's just they're immoral villains. All the X-Men are villains, and there's almost no turning back unless we say that the real X-Men are trapped, buried beneath Krakoa, and they come back. They got to. That's one of the reasons why I'm tired of Jonathan Hickman. I think he's an excellent writer, but he never tags an ending to his stories. He's got a great beginning. He's got an excellent middle, and either he leaves, he lingers too long, or editorial fires him. Like what? He never finishes a story. Okay, Great Lakes Avengers is dead. What the hell? Okay, comics have gone off the deep end. Yeah, yeah. That's why I. That's why I'm so glad this channel is doing well. I would like to get it to the point to be monetized. Let's be realistic, because I'd like to make a couple of dollars to help me pay for comics. That way, maybe I can get some of the more expensive ones. Who knows? But that's besides the point. But I'm so glad you guys are commenting. I wish you could all come into my house, and we sit around and talk about comic books. That's what this is all about. People who love and respect the medium. Because I don't think I'm saying anything too shocking when I say I do not believe that the current crop of writers care about comic books. With some flat old soda, that's gross. Finish my coffee. Need a brand new F4. Yeah. You want to hear funny? Okay. When Dan Slott was writing The Thing and She-Hulk, I actively went to 3 different comic conventions. I got 3 different pictures of me and Dan Slott. And he actually invited me to sit down on his table, and we talked about the She-Hulk run that he was writing, and we were laughing and have a good old time, to the point I wonder if he would recognize me if he saw me. And that jerk's got me blocked on Twitter. I've never interacted with Dan Slott, and I'm blocked on Twitter. My wife used to say that I was the world's only Dan Slott fanboy, and I've got like 6 or 7 different photographs. You could see me getting fatter and my beard getting longer with Dan Slott, and now this guy probably thinks I'm an alt-right Nazi. I don't know. So yes, I can't buy Fantastic Four by a guy who blocks me on Twitter when we've never even interacted. I can understand if I called you a jerk. Okay. What? Oh yeah, Not only did Spider-Man have too many Spider-Man comic books. Oh, Bucky, I misread your quote. Too many Spider heroes. Too many Spider. Who cares? Who cares? I don't care. First off, they made Miles Morales as a cynical move to keep their own copyrighted Spider-Man, because they were trying to build up a Spider-Man that they could keep when Spider-Man goes public domain. You know what I mean? Because that's what Miles Morales was. And so whatever. What do you want me to say? And then now there's like, Spider everything. Who cares anymore? Does it matter? I mean, I don't care. I'm gone from Marvel for 8 years. I don't care anymore. The whole place could burn down. I got my comic book room back there. I could find my back issues. I don't care. It could all burn down. I know how to bring back Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. Bring joy back. Yeah, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs was wonderful. I got it was Xenozoic Tales, and then they changed it to Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. Yeah, that was wonderful. Is Mark Schultz still alive? I love, and I missed Cadillacs and Dinosaurs when it came out. I don't know where I was. I don't know what happened. Why did I miss it? And then somebody on Twitter posted a picture of Xenozoic Tales #1, and I was like, that looks awesome. And I went, yeah, I only rediscovered it maybe a few weeks before I showcased the comic. I didn't get it at that time. Bushpan, I only collect back issues. Yeah. I still get new comics. That's what my monthly visitor series is. Every time I get once a month, I get my comics from Discount Comic Book Service, and I showcase it. And then after I showcase it, I log them in. Here, I'll show you something. I'm just making sure that it doesn't have any personal information. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera around, and I'm going to show you something. Camera back. Okay, this is. Can you read that comic archive edition? This is my comic book data way. So, like when I get a new comic, let's just say I don't know. We'll say Xenozoic Tales. So ZENO. Okay, Xenozoic Tales. There we go. You click on it, and then it keeps a record of the issues that I have. Okay, could everybody see that? So that's what I do, and I type them in. I got a scanner. You could scan it. You could scan the barcodes, and it keeps track of my comics. So that's what I do every month. I do it like religiously. I get my comics once a month. I do the video now, and then I log them in, and then while I log them in, I see if I'm missing issues stuff because I can't keep track of that anymore, and then I put them in this stack right over here. Here's my stack. I'm doing it the wrong way. Where's my stack? Where? There you go. There's my stack of comics to read. Look at that. It's about to topple over. And I try to read at least 5 comic books a day. That's my challenge. Has anyone read Flaming Carrot? Yes, I have a bunch of Flaming Carrot comics. I like them. I can't really remember them. I'm not going to say I'm a fanboy, but I think I got the first 10 issues. Flaming Carrot. There was a couple of funny jokes in it. I just collect back issues. Yeah, I don't blame you. There are some good omnibus. Yeah, good omnibus. The Hellboy library editions. Even though I got the comics, I got 1 to 6 of those because they're glorious. And what else? I got a couple of right over there. I'm not going to mess around with the camera anymore. Cambot camera 6.9. All right, I don't know what that means. Are there some decent comics nowadays? Usagi Yojimbo, hands down, is the best comic book still coming out. Anything Hellboy related is wonderful. What else do I get that's new? Well, now you got me intrigued. I just did a showcase of monthly visitors. You could go, yeah. Like, what am I doing? Go look at my playlist. Click the monthly visitors and watch that. That'll show you all the new comics and how I feel about all the new comics. Lucky Comics. I just did a review on issue 1. Lucky Comics is a new comic. I don't know what that is. I'll go check it out, Bucky. Bucky, I love your video the other day that you did, and then also you yawned right in the middle of it. I cracked up. I showed my wife. That was awesome. All right. It's 1:45. Jeez, I'm like falling asleep. This is a lot of fun, and I don't want to shut it down. Let me see. Got any more caffeine in here? Coffee cup's empty. I got 1 more sip left. Anybody else want to say anything? Oh, I got 5 people. 5 people watching. Anybody want to say anything? Like I said, this was just a spur of the moment thing. I had like a free evening, so I just decided to do this at the last minute. This was fun. Yeah, I got to get to bed too. I'm just rambling, so I'll stop now. Thank you, everybody. This was just an experiment. I was trying to put out a general call, see if anybody wanted to come on and talk, in the camera. Nobody took me up on it. I guess I'm scary. And don't be shy, and you don't have to be a comic book pro. I just somebody's interested in comic books, so you can come on with me. If you just use your iPhone if you want, or your webcam or whatever. I'll try it again. I don't know. My channel's still evolving. It's a lot of fun. It was just supposed to be showcasing comic books. Then it evolved into Sunday Comics. Now I'm doing interviews. I got to thank RJ for that. He was the one that he interviewed me to test out his interviewing people, and I was like, that's fun. Let me see if anybody else is interested. And I reached out to a few people. Everybody I reached out to said yes. A couple of people said they're kind of busy right now, and try them again. And I'm not going to mention names in case they were just being polite, but so a couple of people said, wait till this thing is over, wait till that thing's over. So it's some surprisingly big names. So there you go. Now I'm rambling, and I'm going to say too much. All right, so I'm going to stop now. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. This was a lot of fun. So I'll see you tomorrow with another video, and come by Wednesday for Josh Howard, 7:00 Eastern Standard Time. Good night, Abrax. Good night, everybody. Thank you. See you around, Bucky. Bye-bye.